Hi everybody, this is Vicious Vixen and welcome back to Morph Girl. As I said, I will be doing another video showing the other endings that we didn't get the first time around, and also probably take a look at the other options that you can do in the flashback scenes and see Rebecca's reactions to them in the diary. So, first of all, I'll probably start back from the final major save point and then work my way back. And we'll see what happens. It's waiting for me. What does it want? It hasn't done anything to me yet. It feels like Rebecca. What if it's okay? Maybe I should approach it? But then maybe I should grab a knife from the kitchen first. Just to be safe. So we didn't take the knife last time, and I just want to see if there's any difference if we go in without it and reject it. That was certainly different. I ran away from the thing that claimed to be Rebecca and didn't look back. Telling no one, I fled to the other side of the country to get away from what I saw that night. I moved into an affordable home inside a rural town in the countryside, a place where I thought I might be safe. But it didn't end there. Oh, snap. Rebecca did not seem convinced of my rejection, would not relent in its advances. I couldn't go on living like this. It would follow me to my last breath. We got the just keep swimming ending. see what happens if we go in there with the knife. And that was the end of that. Everything would be and remain the same. Everything would return to normal, never changing. And yeah, everything goes back to the way it was. Oh, come with us, page 9. Contented. Jane didn't realize she had forgotten about work until midday. She had spent the day sitting around the dining table with the children. She had prepared them all cereal, and it sat untouched in front of them. Jane found herself too exhausted to eat much herself. Clearly, none of them had an appetite. She asked them questions, all 5 of them individually. She knew they looked the same, but it didn't mean they wanted to be treated the same. She identified her first little girl as the most confident. She had pointed and shown distress and resistance. Her first boy was attentive. He very occasionally would do something that his siblings would not. The twin girls were affectionate. They often stood close to one another, their skin touching, though one was always the first to move closer when they briefly separated. The smallest boy was sweet. The way he looked up at her melted her heart a little. She smiled at them all in silence. She suddenly didn't care for work. They would only send her home. Jane found herself reluctant to leave the house at all. Finally, she stood and began collecting away the dishes. "You can go sit in there now," she spoke lightly. They filed out of the room after her and gathered in the entrance of the living room, watching and waiting for her. She disappeared from their sight, and she noted that they stayed in the room as she had told them to. Jane allowed herself to smile a little. She never thought she'd become content. There was still fear, but it no longer gripped her. She was free. Jane returned to the children. They were gathered by the fireplace. She had lit the fire when they had first ascended the stairs together. It warmed the room nicely, but they were standing too close. Their eyes were immediately on her as she entered the room, following her. "Come away from the fire," she beckoned them over. They did as she said. "You don't want to burn yourself." "Come with us," they all spoke together. It startled her. It was the first they'd spoken outside of her bedroom. Jane swallowed down her fear and clasped her shaking hands together. "I'll come with you, if you tell me where." Their heads all snapped to the fireplace and began filing, one by one, over to it. "Come with us," they spoke again. Jane parted her lips to warn them of the fire once more, but was met with horror as the twin girls both climbed into the flames. "Come with us," the duo spoke at her, returning their gazes as they crouched in the burning heat. "No!" Jane screamed at them. She pulled the remaining 3 of them away from the fire. They looked at her with bland faces. "You'll burn!" Jane tried to reach for the twins. It burned at her hands and her arms, but she continued to tug at them. Her heartbeat was loud in her ears. Her frantic movements were no use. The children only seemed to burn, their skin growing red and blistering. The dresses they wore were slowly eaten by the flames, their hair also beginning to fall in locks. Jane dropped to her knees at the fireplace. She held out her raw hands. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They just melted away, right in front of her. Jane couldn't stop the tears that silently snaked down her cheeks. Wow. And there we have the stagnant ending. I know there's one ending in particular that I haven't gotten, and I'm pretty sure that the other ones that there are, it requires you to make different choices earlier on in the game. So I'm going to do something that I'd seen before, but actually first I should let's see what happens if we go into the kitchen. I think I heard something break in the kitchen. Is somebody in there? I don't have time for any of this. I'm already late for work, and if I don't finish my report today, I could lose my job. Honestly, I'd rather be burgled. Should I go in? Let's go this time. There's nothing here. I'm sure that I heard something break in here, but notes like this for each other. She used to leave them so that I would see them before I left for work. Is this some kind of joke? This isn't funny. Only someone who knows enough about me and Rebecca could do something so personal. Even the handwriting looks like Rebecca's. I'm so late for work. I wonder if that alters anything. We'll cut ahead to when we have the final decision and see if that changes anything either. And now we're going in again after answering the phone call and going in the kitchen to see if that has any effect on the outcome. If we accept. It wasn't Rebecca, but aside from some inconsistencies in both memory and personality, its actions were almost identical to hers. And that was real enough for me. Wait. Yeah, this is the ending I saw when I originally saw it. I moved into an affordable country home, just like I wanted. It was a nice place, somewhere comfortable where I could hide Rebecca from the world. I barely spoke and it never felt human to me. But I would go on to pretend that things were just as they were prior to Rebecca's death for almost 11 months. Yeah, this is pretty much the same ending I saw when I saw the playthrough, that I watched. At least I'm pretty sure that it is, yeah. My life didn't really change after Rebecca came back. I got another office job. At first it was refreshing to be around coworkers that didn't resent me, but my life was too secretive to ever make friends. It may have been the same old routine, but now I wasn't in it alone. Somehow this is even more depressing than the full throttle ending. Still not as depressing as a stagnant ending or the just keep swimming, but still. I often felt guilty. but never guilty enough to return to my grief. And now we have another part to the story. Abnormal. Perhaps this was. Jane realized people could probably see her. They were in the open field that was at the back of her house. They walked in a line, the children in front, herself following, holding out her raw hands. They led her through the field. She didn't know how long they had been walking for. Whenever she faltered or hesitated, without looking, they knew. "Come with us," they would encourage her. So she continued. Until they came to the lake. She stopped in her tracks. "No, I'm not. I can't." They all stood in a line and turned to her. They faced her with blank expressions. They didn't speak as she expected them to. They waited. Jane's gaze darted between them and her burned hands. The pain was making her restless. She shifted her weight from leg to leg, rocking from side to side. They waited. "I can't come with you," she spoke quickly. They walked towards her. Jane felt her heart quicken. The little boy took her hand, as did the girl. The other boy took hold of her dress. They looked at her. The touch of their icy hands felt good against her burning skin. The three of them blinked at her expectantly, though they didn't speak. She took one step forwards. They all stepped with her. She inhaled and took another step. Slowly, they made their way to the edge of the water. "In there?" she spoke softly. Jane could feel herself shaking again. "Come with us," they responded, stepping ahead of her into the water. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. She followed. It was shallow at first. She stepped down a little deeper. The water was soft and soothing on her burning skin. It was cool, but not uncomfortable. It felt nice. Jane found herself welcoming it. Atypical. Finding yourself following three identical-looking, expressionless children who showed up in the middle of the night into a lake was odd. By anyone's standards, especially Jane's. She expected no one would believe her. Not that anyone would know. Jane had lived her life by the book, following all the rules. Such abnormality happening to the most normal person she knew, herself. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. I died 11 months later. Whatever it was, our relationship was symbiotic, imitating loved ones to feed off willing hosts to survive. As it turns out, there's only so long a person can last in such a relationship. I don't know if it was worth it, but it was easy. And the moral of the story is, you don't fuck a ghost. And that is the A Toxic Relationship ending. Okay, so altogether, including my original playthrough, we've got 4 endings, and so yeah, we have 2 more, and one of them is the true ending. I haven't uncovered the true ending to Elana's story yet. I have to say, I really like games where your choices impact what happens. So yeah, this is really something. Alright, so this time, I didn't call when it was filled with blood, I didn't go into the kitchen, and I did not answer the phone when it called. So, I'm gonna see if there's any difference when I reject it or stab it. It's waiting for me. What does it want? Hasn't done anything to me yet. Feels like Rebecca. What if it's okay? Maybe I should approach it? Grab a knife from the kitchen first, just to be safe. Yeah, no matter how many times I do this, I'm probably still gonna like try to do like the voice and try to like actually act. I don't know, it's the narrator in me. I ran away from the thing that claimed to be Rebecca and didn't look back. And that was the end of it. All of it. To the other side of the country to get away from the thing that broke into my house that night, to move on from Rebecca's death. I went on to publish Rebecca's collection of short stories in her stead, just like she always wanted. Never did see Rebecca again. I'm glad. The Rebecca that I loved is gone, but I will never let her be forgotten. Her stories are so good. Everybody seems to think so. They're doing really well. And so am I. I'm not gonna lie, that brought me close to tearing up. So yeah, we've found the moving on ending. Now, all that's left is the true ending. Alright guys, I am starting from the beginning, and I'm gonna see, like, obviously I want to show you guys what happens with the different entries from Elana. Wait. This is... I don't know what's going on. Like, I pressed play and now it's just showing me this. The true end. But... So yeah, that was supposed to happen. Once you get all the other endings and then click play like I did, it's supposed to be a different version of the moving on ending and means something very different. This was in a Steam community forum that I found, and that explanation was posted by the actual developer of the game, who said they would leave the meaning to interpretation. So one person theorized that what happened was a toxic relationship ending, but that in her final moments, Rebecca was finally at peace with herself and with that Elana was at peace with herself and with Rebecca's death. I'm really not sure what to think at the moment, simply because I've just witnessed it and I probably need to mull it over a bit. But regardless, I do want to show you guys what happens with the different diary entry, the things based on our decisions. So I'm gonna start a new playthrough and show you guys those differences. So we've come to our first flashback decision. This time I'm going for the opposites of what I chose in my original playthrough. So it's been 5 months since Rebecca was diagnosed. Breathing is becoming difficult for her. Movement is an almost Herculean task now. While our doctors say that we still have options, Rebecca is beginning to refuse further treatment. She wants to travel. She wants to travel the world before she dies, see all she can while she can. She's giving up. I don't want her to. She's tired. Too tired for optimism. Too tired for treatment. She's tired of living. We argue constantly over the continuation of her treatment. She only has months left if she doesn't. She's getting visibly weaker with every passing day. She can barely walk, let alone travel the world. It would kill her. Rebecca knows all of this. She doesn't want to be miserable anymore. She wants the both of us to spend the rest of her life in some exotic country to elope from her treatment with money we don't have, with time she doesn't have. This time we lie to Rebecca. I tell Rebecca that we can go wherever she wants. I say we can afford it. When she gets better, we will go traveling. But right now, she needs something to look forward to. Anything to be happy about. Rebecca is initially enthusiastic, talking and incessantly discussing where and when we might go. Eventually, she stops. Weeks go by, we don't go anywhere. She realizes that we can't actually afford it, that I wouldn't let her go if we could. She realizes that I lied to her. I never see her happy again. Rebecca wants me to read some of her book, on account that I never have before. I've always condemned her choice to focus on writing as opposed to pursuing legitimate employment. Writing has always been a source of major contention between us. She wants to know what I think of it, before that's no longer possible. I don't know what to say. She's desperate for me to read it despite prior altercations. This makes me feel angry and a little bit guilty. Despite everything, she still insists that her writing career is important to her. The very pursuit that has jeopardized our home, financial security, and our marriage for years. I don't want to encourage her, but it's her passion. And this time we tell her that we won't. I reserve myself and tell Rebecca that I don't want to read her writing. We have other things to worry about, and I don't want us to argue over this anymore. Her face drops. Okay. Her writing never comes up again. My heart sinks. Even what I originally chose was sad too, but that's even sadder. I think in a lot of these cases, I actually ended up making the less bad decision, if not just the right one. I don't know. It's been 2 months since the diagnosis. Rebecca is exhausted from chemotherapy, sick of both the side effects and its administration. She doesn't like her doctor or any of her nurses. She hates the hospital and is very outspoken about how much she doesn't want to be around real cancer patients. Rebecca doesn't want to feel unable. She's restless, very much in denial. It's Friday night. Rebecca wants to go out with her friends. I tell her that I don't think it's a good idea for her to be exerting herself so soon after therapy. I need this, she says. I'm scared that this will be too much for Rebecca, but I can't keep her from living her life. And then this is where we insist that she stay. I insist that Rebecca stay in for her health. She does. can tell that she's disappointed. We order some takeaway, eat snacks, and watch all of her favorite horror movies. It's not what Rebecca wanted, but we have a nice evening in together. Rebecca seems happy. I am too. So I guess in that one, either way, you find a way to, I guess, be able to make her happy. But we won't really know until we see her diary entries. Rebecca always insisted on living in the city. It's expensive. We could only afford a small house. It's overpriced, ugly, and the landlord is a bitch. Were we to live anywhere else, this place would be a fraction of the rent I pay for it. It can get us somewhere bigger. Maybe then we could afford what Rebecca needs for recovery. I want to move. Making sure that Rebecca gets better as fast as possible is more important to me. But Rebecca insists that we stay. She says that the city is our home, that she doesn't want to leave our memories behind. It's a terrible place. We could save money. It's time. I tell Rebecca that it isn't her decision to make. I'm the one working to pay her for her rent. She chose this house. It's my turn. Rebecca reluctantly agrees. She doesn't speak to me for hours. Until we get an urgent call about a test result. We drive to the hospital in silence. It's not good news. It's terminal. Rebecca is dying. And here we are at the big decision. Rebecca has been hospital-ridden for a week now. She's on life support. She could no longer move or speak. She could barely breathe. We had to take her. She will never leave. The doctors say that she only has days left. She's going to die. Rebecca is in horrific pain. She frequently gestures to her life support. I know what she wants. And this time, I pull Rebecca's life support. Rebecca flatlines less than a minute later. It's what she wanted, but it isn't what I wanted. If I were to refuse, she would only spend her remaining days in agony, waiting to die. But there was so much I wanted to say, so much I should have said to her. Her friends, her family. They never even got to say goodbye. I took that from them. I panicked. And now she's gone. You killed her. Fuck. It's like a lose-lose situation no matter what you do.
suction discs to hold the furnace. Now in itself, it will not expect to move. Same is true with squid. Now both creatures have a parrot-like beak with their primary offensive and defensive weapons.
I don't know, no matter how many times I go through these scenes, like I am still, like it's still emotionally hard. Some other fucking game that I recorded several fucking times, and when it finally got to record right, the fucking video didn't, something happened with the video, just finally gave up on it. The game is Fingerbones, if you're wondering. I'll probably be covering another game by the same guy soon, but yeah.
The possibility of one such creature. You must also conceive the possibility of others.
And now we go right to the diary to see how Rebecca felt about our decisions this time around. Also, I noticed that diary says 2015, not 2013, but obviously it's hard to tell. So, entry number 1. Elana said yes. I am imagining the Caribbean sun and sand almost makes me forget I'm dying. I'm sure I have time for Italy too. I could end up remaking the cheesy romance story I wrote in high school. Well, I could if Elana would agree to that. She's agreed to ditching treatment. I can't push my luck. Though treatment is a fancy term for lying in a hospital bed for even longer than I would be, only to die anyway. Everyone dies, right? So why not do it in style? I'd rather be dying on a beach than in a grey hospital that smells of old people and vomit. If I wasn't dying, I might write about some dark, abandoned hospital. Well, I could, except now I'll be laying on the beach or eating fancy in Rome. And then all that is crossed out. And then, fuck it, I'll die in a hospital bed. Entry number 2. I always wonder what Elana would think of my writing. Maybe beyond the grave I'll find that out. That is, if she doesn't throw everything away. She hates my writing. She never used to. I used to make characters that were based on her. It would make her blush. She used to proofread my work and then tell me how much she loved it. We would talk about me being a famous author. Until I didn't want to give up on my dream for money, like she did. Ow. All just so sad. The gang asked me to go out with them. It's the first time they've asked for a while. I could tell they were expecting a no. The answer was a no, mainly because of Elana. I miss them so much. I wish I could go out and have a good time with them again. I want to make more positive memories. But Elana convinced me that if I went, the memories wouldn't be very positive if I couldn't make it without getting too tired. Everyone's so sympathetic if I show any weakness. I hate it. I guess I should be thankful I didn't go. I am, kind of. We had a nice night together. Me and Elana, that is. She really made an effort to not waste the evening. I didn't expect that at all, if I'm honest. Normally, we disagree on something to do with cancer and illness, and she gets stubborn and shouty. I have to focus on the positives. We had a lovely night. We ordered pizza from my favorite place. We watched my favorite horror movies. The bad favorites. The real bad favorites. Attack of the Giant Leeches and the brain that wouldn't die. I mention how much I bad love horrors. It's nights like these that remind me why I married her. It's good because I've been questioning that recently. Though I can't blame her too much with how she's reacting. The situation is totally fucked. Things were going great, just great, until she said she wanted to move house. Elana did her Elana thing and decided she wanted to move. So of course we have to do it. And hated our home. She hated our home from the beginning. She wanted to live in the country, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, somewhere boring. Just so we could have a better place with our budget. I don't care about living in a fancy house. Fancy houses don't make good homes. Back then she knew how to compromise, so we got this place in the outskirts of the city. I had a vision for it the moment we stepped in. The landlord is a bitch, but she's a stepping stone. We'd be out of here as soon as Elana got a promotion or I could publish my book. It wouldn't be a hassle when we moved because we already live in the city of our dreams. We're already part of the community and know our way around. We just get to live in a slightly fancier place. Oh, my fancy houses can be homes if you earn them. I'll admit that. But living in a shitty place neither of us want just so we can have fancy shit is cheating. I hate it. I want to live in the middle of nowhere just so I can have a hospital bed in the living room and a stupid accessible old person bathroom. That will mean I won't be able to get away from everything even when I go home. But Elana has to get her way with my life once again. So I'll just live in the middle of nowhere in a shitty, unfamiliar house that looks like a hospital. It's all in my best interest, of course. So, after all that, shitty day, big argument, stony silence, long as fuck car drive, I'll be told I'm dying. Elana won't even look at me. I don't want to look at me. What the fuck do I even do? You murdered me. Oh man. It's like I said, in some ways it's just a lose-lose situation either way. Just once again, guys, that was Morph Guy. And emotional all over again because of this game. Like I said, I love the story and how your decisions affect what happens in the end. And I don't know, just I don't know what to say. It's a very emotional game with a very emotional story with some really good, if not a little bit cliche horror elements. But yeah, again, like I said, tried looking on the Steam community for any explanation of the true ending, and basically, like I said, the developer actually posted that, like I said, it was a different version of the moving on ending, and it was pretty much left to interpretation. And personally, I think either that Rebecca did move on, managed to get away from the thing that was claiming to be Rebecca, and she did start over, but she also wondered what might have happened if she stayed. Or possibly it's simply that although she has moved on, that grief will always be with her. Like obviously when you lose someone, even once the grieving process is over, that loss does stay with you and you always miss them. But that there is an end to the sadness. I don't know, just my thoughts on that ending, and maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the other endings to Morph Girl, and maybe what your interpretation of the true ending is. And I think we've seen all that the game has to offer now. Leave a like if you liked the video, and if you want to see more from me, then hit subscribe. I play all kinds of different games here. And if you like horror, be sure to check out my creepypasta narration channel, Go Spook Yourself. The link will be in the description. And there will be a link to the game as well on Steam if you want to play it yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.